All right, guys, it's the aftermarket. It looks like here we go again type of thing. Is this a real runner or is this a pump and dump? So the best way to avoid getting stuck in these pump and dumps, I made a video about it earlier, is to just mark out the high. And we're going to wait and see if this thing comes back to the high. If it does, we might take a trade on it. A lot of volume came in here on this 5-minute candle. So it could be legit. And I mean, right now, really, I wouldn't call this like a 4-bar play setting up here because this is already into a move. Right now it looks like kind of a weak bull pennant flag forming. And weak because the highs are lower and lower. A stronger flag formation would be consolidation. This actually might look more like a bull flag than a bull pennant. I usually don't trade stuff like this, but lately the buying the break of the 1-minute candle has just gotten me into pump and dumps. So one way to avoid it is to I wouldn't necessarily say like, you know, buying the break out of this line will do the same thing, but buying the break of the high of day might be it. But you know what, man, I'm glad I hesitated because look at the spread on this thing. This is trouble. Right now it's okay, see that? This is crazy. That can really screw you up because look, like this thing just popped probably because of one person bought and they got hit by the spread. That's why this thing's chopping around the way it is. So since the high is, look at that. That's crazy. So if that person wanted to sell out, you know, he would immediately lost money. So I'm watching this on the 1-minute chart, and this thing is extremely difficult to trade. And I don't really care what it does. I'm not getting in it with a spread like that. So there's 3 cents. Now back to 19. Man, I don't know. This is not good. So you see that? So that's all because of the spread. This happens in the pre-market too, extremely early in the morning. So you got to watch out for that kind of thing if you're going to trade in the aftermarket or very early in the pre-market. When the spread is hopping around like this, it's really, really easy to get, you know, if you take a trade to get sucked in on the momentum up and you get filled really high and then everything starts selling off, and you know, if you're not disciplined, you're left holding a bag, or if you have your stop in place, you are you know, forced to sell out very quickly. Like I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have their stop set here. Just checking the top gainer list to see if anything else pops up that's better. I mean, I'm not taking a trade on this anyway. I'm just watching it right now. Yeah, I think everybody's just staying away today. The market was so choppy today, and I think a lot of people lost. It's getting close to that stop level. So that looks like it's bouncing back, but that's just the spread. So every time someone like buys or sells, this thing's going to move 10 or 14 cents. Well, what's going to move whatever the spread is at that time. So I mean, I guess that bull flag, you could argue that bull flag pattern played out because the idea is that it breaks the top of the flag. And that's what this was. But I think that's, kind of an example of how these patterns can fake you out because the spread was so wild that that's really what did it. So it's starting to look more like a bull pennant flag and like it wants to break the highs, but I don't want to get in with these spreads like this. This is way too crazy, way too choppy, and it may go run without me, but that's okay. Looks like the volume is coming in right now. Look at that. Look at that. So people got on that little ride and then they all got off. Which is probably what I would have done. But the problem with that is that whoever sells first is the guy that gets the profit. Everyone else has to either hold and hope or sell for a break even or loss. This spread is so big. I guess that's probably from everybody jumping off. 20,000 shares on that candle. That's pretty big for the aftermarket for a 1 minute candle. Now, if a small 1 minute candle formed pulling back to the high of day, which now technically is a little higher, and the spread, the volume is still there and the spread is small, then I would consider a trade, but not with a spread like this. Just checking the range of the candles. They're pretty rangy. So here's the pullback. But the spread is still 20 cents, now down to 10. And see, when it's fluctuating like that, it could change at any moment. I like to see it bounce between like 1 and 2 cents. Just want to make sure I did check the float size on this. Sometimes I forget. So. Oh, and okay, yeah, so it's trading above the SMA on the daily chart. Spread is still huge. So if I took a trade here for the break of this candle, 493, then my stop would be 483. That's 10 cents. It just looks like the volume is disappearing now too. I don't like these topping tails either. I mean, this thing, it could run higher, but you know what you should do is try to talk yourself out of the trade. What I mean by that is look for reasons not to take the trade. Again, these are words straight out of Jared Wesley's mouth at Live Traders. He's got a lot of great advice, but yeah, he says, you know, what you should be doing is not looking for reasons to take the trade, but look for reasons not to take the trade. And then when you can't find any, then you take the trade. And that makes a lot of sense, because I don't know about you guys, but how many times have you talked yourself into a trade later to realize that wasn't a very good trade? What the heck was I thinking? So here's an example. Or I was considering, excuse me, or I was considering taking the high of a 1 minute candle, very hesitantly though, because I was watching the spread. So I was just like kind of judging it, you know, seeing, okay, what would happen if I did? Where would my stop loss be? All that. And it kind of looked like it was heading up for a break of that level, but didn't break. And then, you know, I'm thinking, now, am I really going to do this? If this thing breaks, do I really want to buy into this? Even if the spread, you know, goes down. And when I look to the left a little bit, which is always a good thing to do when you're thinking about taking a trade, always look to the left. I noticed these huge topping tails, which indicates a ton of selling pressure in this area. So that means that as soon as it breaks out, it's back into that selling pressure area. So now it's gone into support. So there might be like a breakout of support here, but again, the spread is just too high. Too high. I was looking at it a second ago, it was 2 cents, and I was thinking, okay, we're into support. Maybe this is a good move. And you could get tricked into a trade on something like this so easily, because you could see some big candles form, but again, that's due to the spread. And it doesn't mean there's actually money to be made there. There's a lot of people lose in those trades, because by the time you sell out, the spread takes you way back down again. So just looking at the top gainers list again, because I'm thinking today is not a day to take a trade. Yeah. So again, this pattern might prove to be decent looking, you know, after the fact, but you know, it's one thing to look at a stock afterwards and say, oh, okay, look, it ran up, I could have made money. But when you're watching it and you're seeing the spread whip the way it has been, so this is where all of that selling pressure is going to come back. As soon as this thing breaks this level, it's gonna pop, and then it's gonna come right back down. And it's still got a wide spread. See, there's no volume there, so these are retail traders like you and me buying in, hoping that this thing takes off. It's basically me yesterday. So the problem is let's see how much volume was trading this yesterday. 86 million shares were trading this yesterday. Today only 186,000. And right now it's above the high in the aftermarket, so that means that those 86 million people or shares that were being traded, those traders, are going to be trying to get out for a profit now. And that's probably where this selling pressure is coming from. That's just an educated guess on my part. I could be totally wrong on that, but you see what happened. Let's see, did it even get... Yeah, kind of... So if you say that this is where the sellers start to come back, basically right here in this area, it can't break out above that because all the sellers are there waiting to get out. I mean, that's my interpretation of the stock. You never know. Like, as soon as you think you got it figured out, it does exactly the opposite of what you think it's going to do. But that's my interpretation based on the price action. So, a lot of people ask me, how to read price action, or where to go to learn to read price action. So there's a little price action talk for you. So anyway, yeah, it's just not looking good today. I would have liked to take a trade in the aftermarket if there was something decent, but there is nothing. So at least we got to do some analysis. And unfortunately, it looks like some people were kind of faked into this thing. But I can't say how many times that's happened to me this week. So I feel for you if you got stuck in this thing. Anyway, let me know if this helped you. Sorry there wasn't an actual trade here, but whenever there's not a good setup, and things aren't looking right, you shouldn't take a trade. So that's what I did. That's all part of trading. Having discipline, knowing when to trade and when to sit back. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I hope you all had a good week. It was a crazy week in the market. So as long as you traded your plan and did what you were supposed to, even if you lost, it could still be a good week for you. But if you're sitting on big losses because you didn't trade your plan, then you're probably pretty mad at yourself right now, and rightly so. And remember that, for one thing, it's only money. But if you're really trying to be a serious trader, you should really take the weekend and think about what went wrong. Review your trades. You can see me do that in my videos all the time. Go back and review your trades, make notes. Why did the trade fail? Was it because the trade was good and it just failed, or was it because you did something wrong? You broke a rule, or you broke your trading plan. You bought into a stock that you shouldn't have, and then it went against you, which usually happens whenever you're breaking rules. And then write your rules down. Write them down, in like a Word document, and read it every single day before you open up your broker. Don't let yourself open up your brokerage platform until you've read your plan, and that way it'll be fresh in your mind, and you'll know, no matter what's going on in the chart, that, hey, does this meet my criteria? Does this match my plan? If not, I'm not going to trade it. And then if you do take a trade where everything does match your criteria, matches your plan, and the trade still fails, and you take your stop, you're going to feel good saying, hey, you know what? At least I did exactly what I was supposed to. I traded my plan. I only took a small loss because I took my stop based on an appropriate place in the chart. And then you can feel good about the trade. So I'm ending the week slightly in the red, like $1 in the red, which is not a big deal. It's less than 1% of my day trading account. So overall, I think it's a good week considering how crazy the markets were this week. And for the most part, I would say like 95% of the time, I traded my plan, and I was very good about sticking to my rules this week. So that was good. And there was a few things that I did wrong, like a few mistakes I made that were kind of not voluntarily made, and I've updated my plan to kind of keep me from doing that. So I'll make a video eventually, maybe when we hit 100 subs, and go more into detail about my trading plan, how I make it, how you might make one, and how to use it. All right, guys, lots of talk in that video. I hope I didn't bore you to death. It is about 4:45 on a Friday. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you back here on Monday. Hopefully we'll know who the president is by then, so maybe some of this market uncertainty will be gone, and we can all make some more money next week. Take care.